What's up guys, welcome back to Cars, Costs, and Technology. On today's video I want to celebrate the channel hitting 20,000 subscribers by sharing some tips and secrets with you all on how you too can make automotive YouTube videos. It's been such a blessing for me. Obviously it's allowed me to do something that I'm passionate about and earn a profit while doing so. So I wanted to share some of the things that I've taken away thus far with you guys. We're going to go over things like the equipment that you need for the unique challenges for automotive videos, as well as some tricks and techniques on making the videos reach new audiences and things of that nature. I'm also going to be sharing the exact revenue on this channel because I've had a lot of questions about it, and I want to show you guys what the potential is for a small YouTube channel that's focused around automotive. I do want to point out before we get started that don't start a YouTube channel strictly because you want to make profit or you want to try to gain a following. Make videos because you enjoy it. Make it about things that you're passionate about, and it will never feel like a job. It'll never feel boring, and whether you're making a ton of money or not, you'll still have a great time. Now obviously money that follows helps open new doors. It allows you to purchase new equipment, it allows you to try new opportunities, travel, things of that nature, meet new people. So profit is important to push growth and get further and further and do more. So I do think that it's an important topic to talk about. But again, I just want to emphasize that in this video, although we're going to talk a lot about profit, it is not the most important thing. You need to make sure you're having fun, doing something that you genuinely enjoy. So let's get things started by talking about some of the equipment that you'll need to film automotive YouTube videos. And the first thing I want to talk about is the most valuable piece of equipment for me since I started my channel and even to this day, and that is my smartphone. Now, believe it or not, when I started this channel, and I actually made another video about it, but most of my videos were filmed, edited, and uploaded all directly from a smartphone. With the cameras in most smartphones now, the stabilization is good, the color quality is good, focus is good. You have a lot of options on a smartphone camera, and you also have free video editing applications available to download. So you can actually film directly on your phone, throw an edit together, and then upload it directly to YouTube from your phone. So you got a lot of options there. It's a great way to get your foot in the door and try out making content, see how you like it. You can also get different mounts, so you can actually get a tripod and get an attachment to put your smartphone on the tripod. Tripods are fairly cheap, especially if you don't get a very high quality one. You can also get a suction cup mount with the same smartphone adapter, so you can actually mount your phone in different places to make it more versatile than just a handheld phone. Also, if you want to step your quality up, you could invest in a gimbal for your smartphone. When I started out, most of my review videos, especially actually some of the most successful ones, are filmed on a smartphone using a smartphone gimbal. It's the DJI Osmo Mobile. Now this one was actually $300, but they do have a second version now that's much less expensive and actually a better gimbal, so it's basically a no-brainer. I'm thinking about purchasing one, even though I have a larger gimbal now for an actual mirrorless camera or DSLR camera. But the DJI Osmo Mobile or Osmo Mobile 2 will allow you to get much more stable footage, look a lot more cinematic. It'll also take your hands off the phone so you're not messing with the microphone while you're trying to film. But not only does it look more professional, but it's going to also give you much better quality content. And this would be great for things like vlogging or doing a car review. You name it, it's got a lot of options there. So definitely a really good investment. Now, I've also got some GoPros here, and I want to talk a lot about these because I think it's kind of become the standard that people think going out and purchasing a GoPro is the way to start a channel. And although GoPros are really good, and you've got channels like, say, Street Speed 717 that have been extremely successful operating off just a GoPro, I don't think it's necessarily the best option for everyone because, number one, GoPros can be fairly expensive depending on which model you're purchasing, and by the time you buy the SD card, any mounts you need to go with it, things like that, you're looking at a multiple $100 investment for a camera. And it may not necessarily push your content that much better than what you could do with a smartphone if you're creative, especially when you consider that GoPro's focus and the way that the lens works is not really intended for the crispest or best quality content. It's made to capture things, whether it's in the water or dust or mud, things like that. GoPros are meant to handle some abuse, which are great for that, but they're not necessarily meant for the most cinematic or high quality footage. So don't think that you need to rush out and get a GoPro. Now, if you do want one for those specific shots, like mounting it to the back of a car for getting the exhaust or setting it on the outside so you can get outside body panels while you're driving, things like that look really good and you pretty much absolutely need a GoPro for, I think they're fantastic, and you need to decide which model is best for you. I personally like the Hero 5 Session because it's pretty lightweight, very affordable, and you do have to control it from a smartphone, but it's not quite as heavy as a Hero 5 Black series, so you actually have a little more flexibility with the mounting position, and it doesn't wobble quite as much when you're at speed. So I think that's a great camera. But again, GoPros are a great investment, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's necessarily the starter pack for YouTube. So the sequence that I went in with my equipment was obviously starting with just the smartphone like we mentioned, filming, editing, and uploading directly from there, then adding on the gimbal to get better quality footage, adding in GoPros to get the action shots, things like that. And you want to just continue to add equipment as you start earning revenue, pushing the content further. But the next thing that I want to add in was the drone footage for more cinematic shots and the intros of my reviews, things like that. Now I will say this is the DJI Spark. It's a very affordable drone and it does get good footage, but this is certainly not the most required piece of equipment for car footage, at least, because it does add a few nice clips, but I would not say rush out and buy a drone if you're going to make car content, because you're kind of limited. You know, you can make maybe 30-45 seconds worth of footage from a drone, but other than that, you really need to be on the ground near the car. So again, this is a great tool to have, and I have it and use it often, but I would not recommend that you go out and get one if you're starting out making car content. Right now I want to say they're around like $400 with their control and everything, so very, very affordable. I will have a link in the description for not only this, but everything that we've talked about so far. So if you want to pick any of these up, I would appreciate you using the links down in the description below. It does support the channel, so I'll have it all linked below for every item that I've shown you so far. So again, that's the DJI Spark for the drone footage. Now, moving on from using GoPros, smartphone, drone, obviously you want to move into actually getting a real camera. Now, the thing is, as you get more diverse with the equipment you're using, as you want to get more complex with the editing that you're going to use, you have to start looking more towards getting a real computer for editing and using real editing software, which begins to get much more expensive, unfortunately. So right now I'm using Premiere Pro by Adobe. It's a great editing software, but it is a little pricey. It's around like $200+ a year just for Adobe Premiere Pro. And then the computer that you want to use for editing, you can use basically any computer, of course, but you really need something with a strong GPU for graphics and kind of like a gaming computer, really, because just a standard run-of-the-mill computer will really struggle to render for video editing. So again, that does begin to get a lot more expensive, so you'd want to look more towards that once you're actually making some good revenue, because you could be looking at easily $1,000+ for a new computer and then a couple hundred for your editing software. So that's quite a bit of money to spend if you're not actually making good money on the content yet. So keep that in mind. It can be somewhat of a challenge. GoPro Studio is also a good option, but for whatever reason GoPro pulled the plug on that and is using, I think it's Quick now. I don't really use that myself for editing because I find it somewhat limited in options, but I do believe it's still free and it is an option that you can use for editing on your computer. I've got just a few more pieces of equipment I'm going to show you before we move on to talk about the revenue of this channel, as well as the tips on uploading your videos to reach new audiences. But here on the table we've got a slider. This works really well for the smooth panning shots that you see in my reviews. This equipment is really nice, but because it's kind of bulky and is not very versatile for the different angles it offers, not something that you're going to want to use on a daily basis or for vlogging or going to a car show, but definitely better for taking with you if you have a lot of time with an individual car like your own, or you're going to be reviewing a car for the afternoon. So a great piece of equipment, but not necessarily something that you're going to go to very often or need in your equipment or camera bag right off the bat. Now, to show you my actual camera, many of you have asked what I use to film. This is my new daily driver camera, so to speak. I switched out from using the smartphone, as I mentioned earlier, to this. It's the Sony a6000. It's not the most advanced camera, it has the most features, but it's a very affordable camera, pretty durable, and looks pretty good to me. You know, it's got a great autofocus. It records at 1080p 60 frames a second, and it's you know, again, it does the job. And for the price point, I can't complain. When paired with the 50mm lens that I have here on the table, the footage looks really good. I actually put this on my Crane gimbal, and the footage looks very smooth, very cinematic. So again, between the Sony a6000, my Crane gimbal, and the slider here, that's pretty much what I use to get most of the cinematic shots that you've seen in the recent videos, because again, this gives a very professional, clean look when used properly. They are a little difficult to dial in, and obviously they are more expensive than, say, the smartphone that I showed you with a DJI Osmo Mobile gimbal. So, you know, you're looking at much more an investment and more time to set up, but you can ultimately get some really incredible results if used properly. Now, you're probably wondering, you know, the gimbal, DSLR, mirrorless camera, sliders, things of that nature, it looks so expensive to make really high quality videos or keep up with the demand on a YouTube channel. But number one, you don't have to buy this much equipment. I've just kind of gotten passionate about increasing the quality of my content and trying to make things look just a little bit better and a little bit better. So I have definitely purchased more than is essential, and that's more my personal preference, but I could probably make my videos with about half this equipment if I really had to. But I enjoy pushing the limits and trying to make the content better. Now, if you were obviously getting started or even just ramping up, you don't need to buy all this, but I just want to show you what I actually use to get the results that you've seen on my channel. Now, moving on, you're probably thinking, well, all this expensive equipment, how do you actually turn a profit? YouTube ad rates are really good. You have to remember that advertisers who fund YouTube or pay for ad space on YouTube are similar companies that are paying for TV advertisements. Now, they may not be the same rates, but you have to remember on a TV show or your favorite movie, things like that, they're paying actors, they're paying a camera crew, they're paying producers, they're paying so many different things to make that content that they get a much smaller piece of the pie. Where when you're making YouTube content, it's pretty much just you, other than maybe if you have a cameraman or something, but for smaller channels, obviously that's not really an option. So you got to think, even though it's not as big of a pie, you're getting a much larger piece. So I am going to show you my revenue just so you kind of have an idea of what you could potentially earn with a small to medium-sized YouTube channel geared strictly around automotive information. Now, I was reluctant to show this because I don't want it to send the wrong message, but I do think in the context of this video and for informative reasons, it's helpful to look at for us to discuss. So as you can see, the revenue for the channel for the last 365 days is just shy of $17,000. If you go back to the beginning day of the channel, it's just over $19,000. Now, to me, these numbers are phenomenal because this is not my primary source of income. I do have a day job that obviously interferes with the amount of time that I have to dedicate to making content. And this is something that I used to do completely free as a hobby that has turned into a really lucrative side business. So I just feel extremely blessed, and it's been such a fun experience that, again, I wanted to share some of this information to hopefully inspire some of you to do the same. Because you have to remember, even if, say, a roughly $20,000 a year business or less doesn't sound like a dramatic amount of money, but when you're doing something that you actually love, this is not manual labor or cleaning dishes or something like that. This is filming and driving some of my favorite cars and sharing it on video with you guys. So this is something that I would probably, again, do for completely free, but being able to actually earn that income and continue to push the limits of what I'm able to do has been really fun. Now, what you can actually do as a new creator to help get your content there and make a profit as quickly as you possibly can, and when I say as quickly as you can, you do have to reach 1,000 subscribers or 4,000 hours of watch time before you can even monetize your content. There are a few things you can do to expedite that process. So number one is you need to make sure that your title and thumbnail are the best they possibly can be. Obviously, when you're new, you don't know what best can be is because you're trained to see larger channels and what they're using. Now, when somebody has, say, 1 million subscribers, they can put out a video called My New Car, and even if they get half of their subscribers to click on that, that's 500,000 views. If you have 0 subscribers, when you put out a video called My New Car, nobody is going to watch that. It's not easy to find. They may not even know what your new car is or who you are. So you need to make sure that your thumbnail and your title are easily searchable. And when I say that, YouTube's algorithms recommend content to people based on what their interests are and what they're searching for. So does Google actually pulls YouTube videos when people search for certain things. So instead of saying picking up my new car, you say taking delivery of my 2019 Corvette Z06, in parentheses torch red or something like that. Now you've got a lot of searchable terms there that YouTube knows who to recommend that video to. You can also help yourself by writing a very good description of the video. Some people won't put a description at all, or they'll put a generic description in every video. I do recommend taking the time to write out a thorough description for every video you're uploading, because those are also searched by YouTube's algorithms. Make sure you're putting tags in. So again, making sure that your video is something that people can find from all sources. Now, obviously you have to have good content, but I'm not going to try to tell you what is good content and what isn't good content. It needs to be unique. It needs to be something different than what others are making, and you need to have your own spin on it, and it needs to be entertaining. But there are so many different ways that you could do that. I wouldn't even begin to say this is what you have to do to have entertaining content, because again, there's no rule there. Pretty much anything you can imagine can be found here on YouTube, and to a certain degree has been successful for different creators. So, have fun with it, make what you enjoy, but again, make sure that you're doing a great description of the video. Make sure you're using your tags, make sure that you're using a great title and thumbnail. No clickbait, no things like that, just good, thorough content. Use what we talked about with the equipment to make it high quality content, and you'll be surprised how quickly it'll spread and your channel will start to grow. Now, you can also make sure that you're utilizing other social media platforms. So let's say you already have a following on Instagram, or maybe Twitter, Facebook, something like that. You can begin to use your following elsewhere to bring new viewers in to watch your YouTube content. One thing that YouTube really likes is when a creator is pulling people from one source and bringing them over to YouTube. Because it's one thing to take people who are already watching YouTube videos and get them to watch another YouTube video, but it's a whole nother thing to take somebody who's browsing, say, Instagram or Facebook and get them over to YouTube to watch it. So when you're using external links from your social media to bring people over to watch your YouTube video, YouTube really likes that, and they're more likely to promote your video amongst other YouTube users. So, keep that in mind. There are more things that I want to share, but obviously I don't want this video to go 25-30 minutes long. So let me know in the comments if there's anything that I missed that you'd like to know more about, or if you want me to make a part 2 on this, talking about more things that I've found to be helpful. But I hope that what we were able to cover in the amount of time that we had today was helpful for you, and you feel inspired to either A, ramp up your existing channel or start a new YouTube channel. But I hope that you guys do. I'd love to let me know in the comments if you already have one or if you're about to start one, so I can follow along with your journey, watch your videos, give you feedback, and help support your channel. But anyway, guys, definitely give the video a like if you did enjoy it. I would certainly appreciate it. It helps this channel grow. And thanks again for 20,000 subscribers, guys. Hope you have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next time.